Okay, let's see how these finger protectors work out. Finger guards. The thing is, I can't get the feedback, and it's kind of more important to get the feedback on small points than larger points, but oh well. Yeah, this same batch of dacite is kind of finicky. Sometimes it wants to flake really easily, and sometimes it doesn't. So I guess it's good I have a finicky batch, because if I had an easy batch and you guys tried to work a batch that's difficult, you would wonder what you're doing wrong, and it's not you usually. I don't know if I've said it in videos, but usually when I get a piece of stone that someone cannot work and they want to see me work it, it's usually because there's something weird about the stone and not the technique that they're using. I get a lot of requests for working stones that people have found, that they've tried. You know, they get a source and they go, yay, I've got a source of material for free or very low price, but every time I try to work it, I can't do anything with it. So they send me stuff, or they'll see me at a nap-in or something, and they'll hand it to me and ask me if I can do something with it. And 9 times out of 10, there's something funny with the stone. So it's not you, usually. I say usually because I don't want you to think it's always the stone. But 9 times out of 10, it's going to be something quirky with the stone. If you just, for some reason, cannot figure out why it's not working, there's something quirky with the stone. That's been my experience anyway. Like in a lot of these rock challenges, some of the guys want to see their particular type of stone in their area being used to make something, just out of curiosity. And some guys are really having a hard time working the stone that they have, and they want to see the techniques needed to work it. Now when I start working a piece of stone, I don't adjust my technique in the beginning, I don't think. You know, I don't go, oh yeah, this is such and such a stone, let me get my other tools, or let me get this specific tool. No, I just start right away with my normal setup, and then get into the stone, and If my normal setup isn't working, that's when I try something different. Because even though I might have experience working on a particular type of stone, it doesn't mean that the stone that I got in my hand is actually going to match what I've worked before, even though it looks the same. And one of the advantages of me, I think, of using aluminum for bits is because everyone can get a hold of the same material easily. You don't have to get the expensive copper stuff or try to do anything with it, like harden it, twist it, or whatever. You can just go to the hardware store and buy some aluminum rods. And I think, at least with the major hardware chains, the aluminum is all the same. Okay, and then if I work something like dacite or another common material, like I'm going to start doing, I'm going to find some common materials. Everyone's can be on the same sheet of music, and it's much easier. If you see me do a flake with an aluminum bit and on dacite and get a certain result with a certain angle and certain force, and if you're not getting the same result with the same angle, same force, same material, same everything, then there's something else that needs to be worked on. That's a very useful thing. Very, very useful. Because you can drive yourself totally bonkers thinking it's one thing and it's not. It's something else. Whereas if I were to use natural materials on all my videos and use my preferred stone or a stone that I've tested out, and I don't show you my big pile of debitage of all the bad stuff and just bring out my good stuff, and then I don't tell you how I dry my tools or where I get my antler or how old it is or how mature the deer is when I get it, and blah blah blah, all that stuff. If I don't tell you all that stuff in advance and it looks like you're using the same things that I am but getting completely different results, and you just can't understand how I'm getting my results, it would be very difficult for me to know to give you advice, because I would have to go through the list of questions. Okay, how old is your antler? Is it a brand new shed? Has it been sitting in the sun forever? Is it actually whitetail, mule deer, elk, moose? What antler are you using? Have you stuck it in a dehydrator? Have you just left it out in humidity? What is your climate? What stone are you using? Have you heat treated it? Have you tested it? Are you using the best quality or using the worst quality? Did you receive it from someone that says it was good but it's actually not? You know, all that stuff is way too complicated for advice in most cases. So if I can get everyone on the same sheet of music with aluminum bits and predictable material like dacite, and I think hornstone is got to be one of the best materials as far as inexpensiveness and workability. And then maybe triple flow obsidian, that's also a very good material. Georgetown is readily available, although I don't like Georgetown that much. It's funny, I get plenty of it, but I don't really like it. Or something similar. I think it'll go a long way to helping people recognize what they're doing wrong. Okay. Now with that big explanation in this video, I gotta be extra careful that I don't break this, because I don't want to lose that little explanation like I lost in the last video. How did the Native Americans do this with just pressure and hammerstone? The answer to that is with lots of practice. And I really don't have the material to do it. I wish I did, but I don't have, buckets and buckets of stuff just sitting waiting for me to, prep for 3 days and then do a video using nothing but pressure and hammerstone. I wish I did. I had to do that on my pressure and hammerstone video that I made a few days ago. I prepared 3 days with hammerstone. This one here and this one here. These two. This is a sandstone. It's pretty crumbly, and this is a quartzite. I practiced with these two for 3 days and went through about 40 pounds of some of my best material. Turned it into gravel basically before I could get the hang of it. I can't do that with every video because I would literally go through a ton, 2,000 pounds of material in just a few, not a few, but maybe in 6 months. I would go through an actual 2,000 pound load of rock if I were to do that for every video to show you the techniques, the ABO techniques or the natural material techniques. All right. So I will do the natural material as much as I can. For some of you advanced guys, that know how to spot, aged antler from hard brown antler, for example. Like if I'm using hard brown antler, I mean it's pretty easy to tell, but if I grind it down a lot, you can't tell. But hard brown antler works differently than aged or sun bleached. New guys don't know that, but advanced guys do, and you can spot it from my videos or anybody's videos. You can notice stuff that new people don't notice. So the ABO videos are mainly for the advanced guys. The aluminum videos and the copper are for the newbies. That's my strategy anyway. Who knows if it actually works that way. Okay. Okay, it's getting to the point where this next pass of flakes is extremely critical. This is where it usually breaks. This is the midpoint. The midpoint of the preform usually gets cracked right in the middle if I'm not careful. So I'm going to go carefully through this stage. Probably should be using it. I just made this bit today. I've had this Ishi stick for a while, but I made this bit to test it out. It fits snugly. It's tapered, kinda sorta, and it just fits. This is juniper, which is a softwood. It's a very flexible softwood, but it's not as soft as pine, but it's pretty soft. It's good for gripping the tips. It kind of forms around. This is white-tailed deer antler, and this is rawhide wrapped around here. It's fully dry to help prevent from splitting. Although I don't put very much pressure on these. If I'm putting a lot of pressure, I switch over to into the punch work, indirect percussion, because I don't want to split this, or I don't want to break this off either. I've broken these clean off to where I had to drill a hole in there and then put a screw and then pull the antler out, or just dig around until I can get it out. I hate when I just snap it clean across. And I've put stones in there too and snapped them clean across. Those are the worst, because you can't drill those out. You have to cut the wood away and then pull those out. All right. Anyway, I digress. And you know, for you new guys, there are many different ways you can prepare whitetail antler, and many different consistencies of antler. Okay, you experienced guys know that, but the new guys, it really in order for me to show you how to duplicate this exact tools, it will require a whole video, an hour's long, to describe how to make the tools exactly like I made them, because there's a lot of variables. So I'm not going to tell you how I made this one. Other than tell you I made it on the sander. I made this bit on the sander, the bandsaw and the sander, and then the Ishi stick a long time ago, and I drilled it with just a regular drill bit. It's sapwood, by the way, juniper sapwood. No heartwood. I don't like juniper heartwood, especially, I don't know how it is in California or different areas where you get juniper, but in Texas, the ash juniper heartwood, I don't like it very much. So there is a difference between heartwood and sapwood. Is it air dried or lodge dried, you know, with heat and smoke, or is it just air dried? Was it air dried as part of a stave and then cut out of a stave, or was it cut first and then dried? It does matter with the consistency of the wood. You know, how do you get it to be the hardest possible with something like juniper? And I find, now that I'm doing this here, I find that juniper is the strongest when you cut it to size first and then dry it, air dry. Just let it air dry, and some of it will crack and you just throw those out, but the ones that survive I find are the strongest. Okay. Although I have cut a lot of these from big staves, I find that they tend to crack in weird areas when you cut them out of a stave and then dry them further, like a second stage drying. It's not as tough as if you just cut it to begin with to the dimensions you want and let it dry that way. Okay. That pretty much, I guess, goes with any wood. Although I've never had trouble with Osage, regardless of how I dried it, as long as it dried for more than a year. For example. But I don't usually make tools out of Osage because it's expensive. I don't get very much of it. Alright, so I gotta focus now on this. It's already 20 minutes. It's hard to get clean flakes to come off on andesite. On this one anyway. Right. 26 minutes. I'm having a little bit of a difficulty creating the correct platforms for my punch on this. Obviously, the platform is not strong enough, but if I make a platform that's too strong, I get the mid snap. Okay, so I've got to figure a way. It's a very subtle thing to get the right platforms done. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that and continue it on the next segment.